My name is Enrique Fuentes Rivera, and this is my evidence tree of contemporary world. The fall of the socialist bloc in Europe. Mikhail Gorbachev's reformist policies in the Soviet Union fueled opposition movements to the communist regimes in the Soviet bloc countries. Demonstrations became more frequent. Governments were forced to accept measures recommended moreover by Gorbachev towards liberalization. However, these measures were not deemed to be sufficient. Hopes of freedom, long suppressed by the communist regimes in the countries of the Soviet bloc and in the USSR itself, were inevitably fueled by Mikhail Gorbachev's attempt reforms in the Soviet Union and his conciliatory policy towards the West. It proved impossible to maintain reform communist regimes. They were entirely swept away by the desire of political democracy and economic liberty. Within 3 years, the communist regimes collapsed, and individual nations gained freedom, initially in the USSR's satellite countries, and then within the Soviet Union itself. The structures of the Eastern Bloc disintegrated with the dissolution of the Warsaw Pact and Contemp. The Soviet Union broke up into independent republics. World Bank and International Monetary Fund. In 1944, a meeting of 44 Allied countries was held in Bretton Woods, New Hampshire in USA. It was there that the New World Economic Order was born as a result of the creation of two institutions, the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund. These institutions have since then been major players in the management of international capital, administration, and financial loans of government projects all around the world. The Internet and Digital Revolution. The digital revolution or informatics is another phenomenon that was marked our era. Since the invention of the television and the telephone, the world has traveled through a process of unprecedented technology advances. The progression of the computer in the middle of the 20th century has been a principal innovation that has marked the revolution. As you all know, computers today form a fundamental part of our lives, helping us to process documents, perform numeric operations, control systems of all types, study, work, and be entertained. The continual development of the Internet has also marked a profound change in education, on labor and personal level, becoming a monumental platform of converting information of any type. Its global reach and immediate transition of data has led to a revolution in the way we communicate. It does not matter how far we are from another person, the Internet allowed us to communicate in real time and interchange words, image, sounds, and video.
Globalization means the growing interdependence of the world's economies, cultures, and populations, brought about the cross-border trade in goods and services, technology, and flows of investment, people, and information. Countries have built economic partnerships to facilitate these movements over many countries, but the term gained popularity after the Cold War in the early 1990s, and these cooperative arrangements shape modern everyday life. Terrorism is the calculated use of violence to create a general climate of fear in a population and thereby to bring about a particular political objective. Terrorism has been practiced by political organizations with both rightist and leftist objectives, by nationalistic and religious groups, by revolutionaries, and even by state institutions such as armies, intelligence services, and police. Unipolarity is a distribution of power in which one state exercises most of the cultural, economic, and military influence. Unipolar systems possess only one great power and face no competition. If a competitor emerges, the international system is no longer unipolar. The digital era is the shift from mechanical and analog electronic technology to digital electronics, which began in the later half of the 20th century, with adoption and proliferation of digital computers and digital record keeping, that continues to the present day.
Where did the globalization emerge? There was a time when most regions were economically self-sufficient. Locally produced foods, fuels, and raw materials were generally processed for local consumption. Trade between different regions was quite limited. Today, the economies of most countries were so interconnected that they form part of a single interdependent global economy. In most cases, what causes the terrorist attacks of the 20th century? Many acts of terrorism can be considered as peacetime equivalents of war crimes performed by clandestine groups to provoke, intimidate, coerce, impress, or persuade target audiences in the struggle for political power. How does the end of the Cold War relate with the unipolar world? During this period, the world was bipolar, but once with the collapse of the Soviet Union, United States took control. In 1991, the US emerged to be the center of the world power as unchallenged superpower. Economic military superiority as well as political influence throughout the war was coined to be the unipolar moment of the United States in the war system since there was no other challenging superpower. What was the digital influence in today's society? Digital technologies had advanced more rapidly than any innovation in our history, reaching around 50% of the developed world's population in only 2 decades and transforming societies. By enhancing connectivity, financial inclusion, access to trade, and public services, technology can be a great equalizer. In the health sector, for instance, all enabled frontier technologies are helping to save lives and diagnose diseases and extend life expectancy. In education, virtual learning environments and distance learning have opened up programs to students who would otherwise be excluded. Public services are also becoming more accessible and accountable through blockchain-powered systems, and less bureaucratically burdensome as a result of AI assistance. Big data can also support more responsive and accurate policies and programs.